Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mailbag Monday, where Chris and I are answering all of your questions around marketing, artificial intelligence, data, and today a little bit different. So this week, Jeff asked, how did you both become experts in your field? Was it experience through work or specific qualifications, etc.? I mean, this is it's an excellent question that I've been thinking about because I don't know that I would even call myself an expert. So Chris, let's start with you.
I am a self-paced learner and
Mhm.
I am a need-based learner. So I have no qualifications to do any of my jobs at all. Um, it is ironic. Like this past week, I was lecturing at Harvard about AI and marketing.
Mhm.
I have never taken a marketing class in my life. I taught for the University of San Francisco, taught internet marketing back in the 2010s. No qualifications whatsoever. Um, I have no statistical background. I took statistics in college, and I've technically failed it. But they graded on a curve, thank heavens. Um, I have no formal programming experience. Well, actually, that's not true. I did take one class in C at a community college when I was growing up, but I have no qualifications in any of this stuff. I the way I learn is I find something that interests me, then I try and figure out how do I do that? Like, how do I make that happen? And what do I need to do to be able to do that? Do I need to learn to program? Is there tools and utilities? Are there scripts? Are there command line hacks? What's the thing that you need to piece together to be able to do the thing? And then usually later on, I end up layering in some of the formal academic knowledge on top of that when I get stuck on something where it's like, okay, it's not quite right, but I don't know why. And then I'll go back and read the literature and go, oh, it's because this small principle here is enough that's going to throw things off. Like, for example, with correlations, should you be using a Spearman correlation, Pearson correlation, Kendall Tau? They have different use cases, but that's how I've always learned. I've always learned by doing and screwing up a lot, and then redoing until I get it more or less right. And the stuff that I've studied throughout my life has always been stuff where there haven't been a lot of good resources to learn from, right? So, in the field of AI, for example, there's a lot of academic papers to read, but it's very difficult to transform an academic paper into something that is a production product, right? You can read the attention to you need academic paper and read all the calculus and things on how that model works, but how do you turn that into Chat GPT? Like, there's a big gap between those two. So that's kind of my answer. How about you, Katie? How did you become, if you don't like the term expert, how did you become proficient in your field?
Very similar to you. A lot of practice, a lot of trial and error. Um, there's something that I know it'll sound a little goofy, but one of my favorite Peloton instructors says is practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes permanence. And so what that means in this context is, I didn't just pick up a business book one day, go, okay, I read the book, okay, I'm an expert now. Similar to your journey, Chris, there's been a lot of trial and error. I think that it speaks to having a college degree doesn't necessarily equate to the readiness of someone in a particular skill set or a job. So I've always been a firm believer for myself, for others, as a hiring manager, um, as a job candidate, that doing the actual work, the seat that you sit in, the things that you failed at, the things that you've tried and mastered, that's what makes you proficient. That's what makes you an expert. So, when I first became a people manager, I was terrible at it. I did everything wrong. And going to school and reading about it wasn't going to help me. I had to go through it. I actually have a master's in marketing and technology. And to this day, it does not help me at all because in academia, it's so far behind how quickly the technology is changing that getting a degree isn't going to help you. Certifications, those things, they'll at least give you the rough idea of what the thing is, but you actually have to do it. So, I guess to answer Jeff's question, how did you become experts in your field? Just a lot of practice, a lot of doing it every day, finding out what's not working, learning from those mistakes, falling down a lot, getting back up after every single time you fall. That's how you become an expert. It's not something you can read in a book. It's not showing up at a seminar one day and turning around the next day and calling yourself an expert. There's no shortcut for doing the work.
Jay Bear has a great expression for this. He says, having the recipe does not make you a chef.
It is true.
It is absolutely true. And one of the things that I define expertise as is an expert knows what's going to go wrong, right? You can be proficient and know how to do the thing, but if you don't know what's going to go wrong, then when something goes wrong, you're like, oh, what do I do? And it blows up. When you've had enough things blow up in your face, you're like, okay, I know what's going to happen. If you're baking a cake and it's raining out, like, okay, I know I need to add a little bit more baking powder because otherwise cake's not going to rise because it's raining, humid, the air is extra dry, or extra dense, and I've screwed up 15 cakes this way. I know exactly what's going to go wrong. And so you as an expert mitigate what's going to go wrong before it happens. So when you're a true expert, things just run smoother because you're silently knocking down those obstacles before they happen. And someone who has not had that experience and not gotten burned a whole bunch of times, they can't do that.
Well, then in that case, I would definitely call myself an expert in management. Because been there, done that, cried about it, was cried on, been yelled at, been screamed at. But then also, you see what works. You see what helps make other people successful. And so those are the recipes, the processes you go back to. So great question, Jeff. Not something Chris and I often think about, but always good to sort of reflect on our own journeys.
Exactly. And if you've got a question you want us to answer about data and AI, marketing, management, anything, drop us a line. Go to trustinsights.ai/contact. Or if you'd rather, go to our free Slack group. Go to trustinsights.ai/analyticsformarketers, where you and over 3,000 other marketers are asking and answering each other's questions every single day. And if you want to catch up on past episodes of Mailbag Monday, go to our newsletter. Go to trustinsights.ai/newsletter, where you can catch up on all the content that we've created over the past week. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.